since we done hold the process for periodic lazy guy, okay? So you should understand perpetual, periodic, all the process we've done already. So go back to slide page 132. 132. So did you find out? For perpetual, do you know everything? Yes. For perpetual, we know cost of goods sold. We know inventory on hand. Okay. We know how many inventory lost. We know everything. But for periodic, we don't know everything, right? So that's why it's better to use perpetual hard worker because they will have a good inventory controls. We know everything. But for periodic, even though your inventory lost, but you don't know the numbers, you don't know the situations, okay? Then, do you know why we need to do the physical count? Both our methods, we need to take a physical count based on different reasons. So what's the reason for periodic? We take the physical count. Yeah, because this is the only way we find out cost of goods sold, okay? So we have to take the physical count for periodic because this is the only way we can know cost of goods sold, the numbers. How about perpetual? We still need to take a physical count. Why? We want to do a double check, right? So we do a double check. After double check, we double check book amount with actual amount, right? So book amount with actual amount, we do a double check. After you do a double check, you can get, okay, maybe someone steal our inventory, maybe not, okay? So we will note the whole situations, okay? So that's a reason we do the physical count for perpetual. So you should understand both our method we take a physical count based on different reasons. Okay? Any questions? No problem then. Let's go to last one on your slide, page 140. 140. For the statement of comprehensive income, for the financial statement here, right here, okay? So for statement of comprehensive income, we talk about revenue minus expenses, we got the profit, right? So first part is what? Revenues. But don't forget, right now, you should understand our revenues. We have two reasons to make your revenue decrease, right? So don't forget, the first reason is customer return the inventory back to you. Second reason is customer got a cash discount, okay? So for the revenue part, you should understand these two reasons make your revenue decrease, okay? So after these two reasons, we got the true revenue, net sales. So net sales is your true revenues. $460,000. So we got the real revenue. Okay? So how about second part? Cost of goods sold expenses, right? So here you should be careful. For cost of goods sold, it's not that simple, right? So remember, for cost of goods sold, it's not that simple. Depends on you use perpetual or periodic, right? So if you use perpetual, so what does that look like for your cost of goods sold? For perpetual on your page 24. So did you find out? For your perpetual is cost of goods sold. How many you sold? Then consider inventory over and short. Your inventory lost how much? Okay, so that's for perpetual. How about periodic on your page 33? So cost of goods sold we will show whole the process. Okay, beginning plus net purchase minus any inventory, we got cost of goods sold. We show whole process. Okay, so that's a different. So right here, you should be careful. It's not very simple. Depends on you use perpetual or periodic will be different. Periodic or perpetual. Perpetual, you can look at note, page 24. Periodic, you can look at note, page 33. Okay? So it's not very simple. You should be very careful. It's a lot of information we still have to prepare. So you can look at page 24 or page 33, 33. Okay, so revenue minus cost of goods sold, we got gross profit, right? So what's the gross profit? The profit from your inventory. So you can get your gross profit is what? The profit from inventory. So this is your profit from inventory. Okay? So only consider inventory. So far, only consider inventory, then you can get the profit $144,000 from your inventory. Okay? After first expense, cost of goods sold, don't forget, right now, we still have other expenses, right? So other expenses, our second expense, which is operating expenses, 营业费用. So after cost of goods sold, right now we consider our second expense. So this is our second expense. Operating expenses, 营业费用. Okay? After first expense, cost of goods sold. After second expense, operating expenses. So we can get income from operations. So what does it mean? When we do operating activities, the profit from your operating activities. Okay, so remember, for companies, for you guys, totally the same. We have three major activities, right? So what's the three major activities? Operating activities. When we sell the product, provide the service, we do the business, we earn some profits. Okay, so that's from operating activities. But don't forget, we still will what? Try to use the money to make more money, right? So you will invest in the shares, stocks. You will invest in the house, for example. So use money to earn more money. So what kind of activity it is? Investing activity, 投资活动, right? Then, when we don't have enough money, we have to borrow money from the bank, right? So, what's the activity? Financing activity, 融资活动, okay? So, for companies, for you guys, we have three activities. Right now, first activity we focus on is operating. Why? Because this is the most activities we have. Okay, so after we consider the first activity, the most important activity, then others, we will consider other activity. Okay, so that's why here told you income from operation. We focus on only first activity. We want to know the profit we got from first activity, operations. So it's from your operating activity. 营业活动 你的本业 Okay, so operating activity is the most important. So we want to note, focus on operating activity for your company's business. What's the profit income we can get? Okay, after that, we will consider other two activities. So other two activities, including financing, including operating. Financing and investing. Investing and financing activity.投资与融资活动。Okay. So after operating, financing, investing activity, finally we got our final profit, net income, right? So after we consider all activities we have, then finally we got net income. So net income is what? Your final profit. Any questions? No problem. If you don't have any questions, remember, when we prepare our first financial statement, Statement of Comprehensive Income 综合损益表 is the complete information status already. We stop here net income. Remember, when you stop end with net income is what? It's not a complete statement. It's only your first part, right? So for the whole complete financial statement, for statement of comprehensive income, is not net income is not the last one, right? It's the when you cut it into two parts. This is the part one, right? Part one we end with the net income. So what's the part two? We consider other gain or loss cannot be controlled. Okay, we call it other comprehensive income. Okay, so here did you find out the title? Income statement. So here we told you already. The title is income statement. So it's only for part one, 损益表. Remember, when you end with net income, it's only for your part one. Income statement, right? So we still have a part two, don't forget. Okay? Okay, so what's the part 2 on your next page? So here did you find out? Our part 2 is what? After net income, we consider other comprehensive income. Here is our part 2. Okay? So from net sales to our net income, this is only our part 1. So don't forget, for the complete statement of comprehensive income, we did not just stop end with net income. It's not. This is only for part 1. Any profit can be controlled by your company, but we still consider other gain or loss cannot be controlled, like what? Currency exchange rate, right? 汇率. So currency exchange rate increase, decrease, you got gain or loss, but you cannot control it. Okay, so we consider this part other comprehensive income, 其他综合损益. Okay, then we end with comprehensive income, 其他综合损益. Okay, any questions? No problem. So that's it for chapter 5. Let's go to chapter 6 finally. Then you can understand why some company want to be lazy guy. Why some company prefer to use periodic 定期盘存制. Okay? So go to your slide on page 6. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you can download it now from the portal. So slide chapter 6. Okay, on slide chapter 6, we still talk about inventory, right? So chapter 5, chapter 6, all about inventory. But the difference is chapter 5, we tell you how to recall it. So chapter 5 will focus on debit credit, how to recall the transactions on 2 accounting books. So that's from chapter 5. Chapter 6 here, we need your calculators. We only do the math. We don't ask you to recall debit credit. We ask you to do your math. So you need the calculators. Okay? So download it already from chapter 6. So before we tell you how to do the math, go to your slide on page 4. Remind you again, inventory is our company's assets, right? Especially is our company's current assets, okay? Because we expect we sell it as soon as possible, less than 1 year, right? Okay, so it's our current assets. And don't forget, what's our purpose for inventory? For sale, not for use, okay? So could you tell me what kind of asset its purpose is for use, not for sale? You buy this kind of assets because you want to use it. What's that? Computer, your laptop, right? You buy your laptop for what? You are going to use it. You buy your car for what? You are going to drive it, right? You buy your desk, you are going to use it, okay? So you should be very careful for accounting definition is very important. Why? Definition defined, you are inventory or you are equipment. Okay. For Apple company product is computer, right? So they sell their Apple computers. So Apple computers is their inventory products. But still, when you are going to use the computer, there is your equipment, not your inventory. So definition will define who you are. Okay. So inventory for use, for sale, not for use. Okay. And remember, our courses, we focus on merchandising company. So what's merchandising company? 买卖业. You buy the inventory and you sell it directly. Will you do any changes on your inventory? You don't. So that's why we have only one format, one kind of inventory, okay, which is merchandise inventory. But how about manufacturing companies? 制造业 manufacturing company, you buy the material, right? And you put the material into production process and come out the product, right? So they have three different kind of inventory based on the form, okay? So like what? First is raw material. At the beginning, we buy the material. Still, that's our part of inventories. And you put the inventory into the production process. So still in the middle of production process, we call it work in process. After finish whole the process, come out the products, we call it finished good. Okay. So for manufacturing companies, they have three inventories based on the process. At the beginning, raw material. In the middle of a process, or in process, come out finally the products, we call it finished good. Okay? But don't worry, for our course, we only focus on merchandise company because we want to talk about different kind of situations. So we don't want to make the situations more complicated. So we only focus on merchandise companies. If you are interested in manufacturing companies, you can take another course, which is cost management, 成本管理会计. Okay, cost management, another accounting course will tell you to focus on manufacturing companies. Okay, could you tell me this company is merchandise company or manufacturing companies? So when I look at financial statements, if you understand the concepts, then you look at financial statements, you will know some information. You'll get some information. So look at this is manufacturing companies. Why? Because they have three inventory materials, work in process, finished good. So they have three inventories. That's why it's manufacturing companies. Okay? No problem? Okay. Then finally, we go to our main issue right here. So what's our main issue? Do your math. Tell us the numbers, the amounts for cost of goods sold and the inventory. Okay? So you should compute the numbers for yourself. Chapter 5 will give you the numbers, but actually, how to get the numbers by yourself. So chapter 6 here we tell you how to get the numbers by yourself. Okay, so no matter I want to get the cost of goods sold, cost of the inventory, how to do that? Remember how to get the total amount. Quantity times unit cost, right? So how to get the total amount? Quantities times unit cost. 数量乘以单位成本 OK? So Since our purpose is to get the total amount, so we have two issues. First, for your quantities. Second, for your unit cost. So for quantities, what's the problem we have? For quantities, the problem we have is your inventory or not? Is yours or is not yours? Okay, you find out like what? Like hey, calculator right here. Is yours or is mine? So our problem is we had to figure out, even though you find out the inventory over there, is yours or mine? So that's the quantity we want to talk about. So quantity 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a 3 inventory over there. We want to figure out, is my inventory or is not? Okay, so there's questions we want to talk about. Is mine or is not mine? So based on this issue, we have two situations. Two situations. One is goods in transit, 在途存货. Second is consigned goods, 寄销品. Okay, so based on these two situations, you had to figure out is yours inventory or is not yours inventory. Okay? 来，哪一个？寄销品，在途存货 and 寄销品。It's okay. 在途存货 and 寄销品. Okay. So for quantities, we have two situations: goods in transit and consigned goods. How about unit cost? For each unit cost means what? How much money you spent to buy the inventory, right? So unit cost, actually, we talk about your cost of inventory. How much money we spent to buy the inventory. So for this one, we have some problems. That's right. We have three methods to help you determine the unit cost. Okay, so after we finish all the issues we have, then it's done for chapter 6. Okay, any questions? So we talk about quantities first. Is yours or is not yours? Okay, but no matter what, just want to remind you again, no matter what, you use perpetual, you use periodic, no matter what, always, you have to take a physical count, right? Because always you have to double check, or always you need to count it to figure out your ending inventory. So don't forget, no matter what, we talk about everything. Still, for your company, on the last day, you have to take a physical count. Okay? Okay, so let's look at these two issues. Is your inventory or is not? Okay, so first question, maybe you find out the inventory where? In your company. So when you find out the inventory in your company, but are you sure it's yours? So you find out the inventory in your company. So including in physical count means in your company, so you count it, right? So The question is yours? Inventory you find out in your company. Is yours? Maybe yes, maybe not. Okay. Next situation is the inventory not including in the physical count. What does it mean? It's not in your company. But it's not in your company. It's not yours or it's yours. So the inventory not in your company. Okay? So did you find out where it is? It's not important. Whether you own it is the important. Okay? So in your company, maybe it's not yours. Not in your company, maybe it's yours. Okay? Any questions? No problem? Okay. So let me check. Do you know it's yours or not? How many? You are Apple company. How many Apple belong to you? How many apples you have? 学姐 how many? Jia, how many? How many you have the apples? You can guess. It doesn't matter. It's okay. How many? 5? Okay, it's not 5. You know, when you find out it's 5, I ask you how many. The answer always is not 5. 4. Why? Did you find out Google's Apple in your company still is not yours? Okay? And outside your company, but it's Apple's. Okay? So no matter where it is, logo, did you find out a logo? Okay? So the answer should be 4. Okay? So there's the two situation we want to talk about. What's the two situation? In your companies, are you sure that's yours? Not in your company. Are you sure that's not yours? Okay. So this is the two situation we want to talk about. So outside your company is the first situation we want to talk about. Why is that? Goods in transit. Okay. Goods in transit. 在途存货. So we talk about this. Outside your company, goods in transit. 在途存货. In your companies, is yours? Maybe yes, maybe not. Okay. So there's a second one we want to talk about is consigned goods, 寄销品. Okay, so you should be careful. Where it is not important. You have to figure out it's yours or it's not yours. So who had the ownership? 所有权 who own it is the most important thing. Okay. So legal title means who had the ownership, then who own the inventories. Okay, any questions? So let's look at the first one, goods in transit, 在途存货. So what does it mean, goods in transit? On the way, right? So on the way to the definition, the destination, on the way. So it's not in buyer's company, it's not in seller's company, it's not. It's on the way. Okay, so that's goods in transit. So on the way, maybe on the boat, on the ship, on the car, on the airplane, on everything. Okay, so on the way. So it's not in buyer's company, it's not in seller's company. Okay, so based on their situation, goods in transit. So these two apples who own the inventory. Okay, so who own these two apples on the way. Okay, so how to determine who had the ownership for these two apples? The same as chapter 5. So how to determine who's in charge for the process? FOB, shipping point. FOB, destination. Okay? 起运点交货，目的地交货。Shipping point, what does it mean? Sellers give the buyers inventory. After shipping point, none of seller's business. Okay, so that's shipping point. How about destination? Seller give the buyer the inventory. After destination, none of seller's business. Okay, so based on the process, could you tell me shipping point, FOB shipping point, who had these two apples? Buyers, right? Okay, so after shipping point, none of seller's business. None of seller's business. So whose business? Buyers. Okay. So buyers have these two apples. So buyers have the ownership for the inventory. Goods means inventory. 存货所有权。Okay, so FOB destination, who had these two apples? After definition, none of seller's business. So before the destination, seller's business, right? So this, who own these two apples? Sellers. So destination, sellers have the ownership. Okay? Totally the same as chapter 5. Who paid the freight cost? So combine chapter 5 and chapter 6 for freight cost, for inventories ownership. Okay? So who had these two apples? Who paid the freight cost? FOB shipping point. The buyer had the ownership. The buyer paid the freight cost, right? Okay. So FOB shipping point, the buyer had the ownership. 存货所有权。The buyer paid the freight cost. And do you remember? Buyer pay the freight cost. So the freight cost will make what increase? Buyer pay the freight cost. The freight cost will make what increase? Inventory, right? Because you had to spend more money to buy the inventory. So your cost of inventory increase, right? Remember? Because you spend more money to buy the inventory. So your cost of inventory increase. Okay? How about FOB destination? All about sellers. So sellers have these two apples. Sellers pay the freight cost. Remember, when you are the sellers, you pay the freight cost. The freight cost will make what increase? You are the sellers, you pay the freight cost. So the freight cost will make what increase? When I sell something, when I sell the products, I have different kind of expenses, including utility expenses, including salaries and wages expenses, including advertising expenses, including delivery expenses. Okay, so totally that's our second expense. We call it operating expenses, 营业费用, right? So which will make your operating expenses increase, right? Because which account we use? Freight out or delivery expense. Okay, so it depends on you are the buyer, you pay the freight cost, or you are the sellers, you pay the freight cost. Any questions? So we use shipping point destination to determine who had these two apples. Okay. So before we take a break, one short question. One short question. Here, assume your company right now, you take a physical count, you find out 200,000 units. Why we talk about unit? Because right now we focus on quantities, right? So we have a 2,000 inventory in your company. Okay, we take a physical count in your company. We find out inventory 20,000 units, but we still have to consider some inventory not in your company, right? So two situations. They are goods in transit. They are on the way, not in your company, right? So for these two goods in transit, not in your company, is on the way. We want to figure out is yours or is not yours. Okay, so first case, you sold inventory, which is FOB destination. So first question is, you are the sellers or you are the buyer? You sales, so you had to figure out you are the sellers or you are the buyer first, because sales, right? So you are the seller. Okay? Since you are the sellers, then A4B destination, who have these two apples? Destination determine, tell you, two apples belong to sellers. Okay? So destination told you two apples belong to sellers, right? Okay? So could you tell me for the first case, 1,500 units belong to yours or not? Yours, right? Why? Because destination told you two apples belong to sellers. Who are you? You are sellers. So that's yours. Okay? Second case, purchases. You buy the inventories. So you are the buyers, right? So since you are the buyers, so next question is that destination or shipping point. Shipping point told you who have these two apples? Buyers. Okay? So destination told you two apples belong to buyer. So it's yours or not? It's yours, right? Why? Shipping point told you belong to buyers. Who are you? You are buyer. So that's yours. Okay? So remember how to find out is yours or it's not yours. First, you should figure out who are you. So step one, find out you are the buyer or you are the sellers. Okay? After find out you are the buyer, you are the sellers. Then step two, look at the creditor, not a creditor. Look at the sale term. Look at the deal you made with the other company. Okay, so the deal told you shipping point, destination, then who have these two apples. Okay, so step two. Determined. Look at the deal to figure out. So shipping point, destination, find out who own it. Okay? Seller or buyer. Okay? So you should figure out who are you. And then look at the deal. The deal told you who owned it. Okay? Compare these two, then you will figure out who do you, then you will figure out do you have this inventory or not. Okay? So based on these two is yours, right? So totally how many? In the company, 20,000 units. Then first one belong to you, 1,500. Second one still belong to you, 2,500. So totally how many? 24,000 units. Okay? Any questions? No problem? Okay, then let's take a break. Later I'll give you time to practice it.